If you're new to choreography, here's an overview of 8 different ways we've looked at choreography over the years at Temple of Poi and what we've done with students to help them get from no real skills as a performance artist to performing in the way that is most effective for them, given their skill set, their experience, and their comfort level with memorizing choreography and or freestyling. The first of the 8 is no choreography, also known as freestyle. Now, the benefits of this is that there's nothing really to learn, and there's nothing to hold you back. And you don't need to worry about music cues or anything like that. Of course, the flip side of that is there's nothing on which to rely. So if you can't remember something, you might get stuck feeling repetitive in a particular move that you're doing, and you might feel like there's no real way to get out of it. You also might not include moves that you really wanted to put in your performance because over time, as you get more and more competent and you have a larger skill set, it's harder to remember the vast repertoire at your disposal. And what I would call level 2 is this idea of knowing the key musical cues. Now, the benefits of this are that it's relatively easy to feel, particularly for people who identify as dancers, because they're in response to the music in the moment. It's really good for people who are deeply connected to music, even if they're not dancers, because they can accentuate the musical cues with the patterns, even if they're not doing it with their bodies. There's nothing really to learn, and as a result of that, other than the musical cues, of course, as a result of that, there's nothing complicated to choreograph, which helps with the amount of time that it takes to go from deciding you're going to do a choreographed performance of a sort to actually getting the performance done. And there's nothing to miss, but something to shoot for so that you maybe hit a couple cues here or there, the beginning, the end, and maybe a couple points in the middle of the song. And it's a small amount of structure that can really support you without really holding you back. The drawbacks, although this is really subjective, is that there's not a lot of structure. And for some people, that can mean feeling a little bit like they're out on a limb and not supported in the piece so that they don't feel safe and confident in their performance. It also requires on-the-fly creativity, which may not be someone's strong suit. It can get confusing trying to hit the cues in a song when you're waiting for it, and as a result, you may spend more time waiting for the cue than actually hitting the song and being swept away in the actual performance itself. And it's not really ideal for people who don't connect to the music. On top of that, it can be difficult for people who struggle to remember sequences of a song and/or people who struggle with counting. For those who are deeply connected to music and who can track the sequence of a track, knowing the major musical cues and having planned movements at that set of points only can really work effectively for choreography. This will allow the performance artist to most powerfully present the track by hitting those particular cues and having picked those cues themselves and having the movements lined up. They know they're going to get the audience in those moments. It can also harness the power of the sound visually, which isn't necessarily the case in a freestyle or where you're just generally going with the flow of the track. On top of that, there's not too much choreography to get tripped up on, but at the same time, there's enough to have some sort of structure that can give an artist confidence. Of course, the drawback is it's maybe not enough choreography to provide enough of the needed structure, depending on your relationship to the music. It also requires a very good sense of timing and understanding of the musical cues and the track itself so that the artist can ensure that they actually hit it properly. But this does work great for people who feel the music, while it's challenging for those who can't.